Unit 4, Lesson 4, greater than. We started right with the Launch Explorer discussed today, and we're working with our inequalities. Remember, if you extend your left hand and your thumb, and here's your little fingers, and your thumb comes out like this, then this right here, you're looking at the less than symbol. Left hand, less than. So it says, given a mathematical statement and two expressions, decide which of the two expressions is greater if the expressions are equal or if the relationship cannot be determined from the statement. Write an equation or inequality that shows your answer and explains why your answer is correct. Watch out, this gets tricky. And it does get tricky, but we'll take it one at a time. So in our example, the statement is that x equals 8, and we're trying to figure out if x plus 5 or 3x plus 2 is greater. Well, one way to do this is by substitution. Just simply put the number in place of the letter. That's what's been done here after the if. And so where do we get 26 from? It's from putting 3 times 8 plus 2. And where do we get the 13 from? Same way, that's 8 plus 5. So on number 1, we really can use example numbers, and they can come out of your head. They don't really need to be chosen in a special way. All they have to do is be whatever the statement says they are. So n is an integer. So all we need to do is think of the different kinds of integers that you can have. You can have positive integers, you can have negative integers, you can have 0 as an integer. So we did a little table here. And so the first thing is the number. The next is the n, and then the negative n. So choose a positive number, any positive number. Say you chose 5. Then this would be 5 or negative 5. Which is bigger? N is bigger. Actually, let me put that on the same level there. How about 0? N is 0. There is no negative 0, so that's just 0. That's equal. And then negative number. Say you did negative 5. Negative 5. And then this would be negative 5 or positive 5. Well, here, negative n is the greater one. So you can say n is greater than negative n if n is positive. You can say n is equal to negative n if n equals 0. And finally, n is actually smaller than negative n if n is negative. That's an example of opposites. Okay, then it says try yourself. So all you got to do is choose two numbers so that one number is bigger than the other number. So let's say you chose 3 for x and y was 1. Make another table. What's the number? What's x plus a? What's x or y plus a? We need one more number to guess with. We need an a. Say that's 5. Now, 3, 1, and 5. I'm totally just choosing those almost at random. I just need to make sure that the x was bigger than the y. Okay, so let's see. If you have the numbers 3 and 1, then x plus a is 3 plus 5, and y plus a is 1 plus 5. So this is 8, and this is 6. So you can tell x plus a is bigger than y plus a. And that, of course, is the greater than symbol. Okay, same setup in number 3, but now it's subtraction. So let's just use the same numbers. So the numbers will be 3 and 1, but we have x minus a and y minus a. A. So if I use 3 and 1, and a is 5, x minus a, 3 minus 5, y minus a, 1 minus 5. So this is -2, and this is -4. When you're dealing with negative numbers, another way to remember is that greater than numbers are to the right on the number line. So if you were to put these two numbers on a number line, -2 is to the right and -4 is to the left. That means -2 is greater than -4. So that means x minus a is greater than y minus a. So if x and y start out, so x is bigger than y, and you subtract a number, then still x minus a is bigger than y minus a. Now, it's an obvious statement that 5 is greater than 4, but we're testing 5x and 4x. So we're going to need to guess a number for x. So what's the number we're guessing? And then what's 5x and what's 4x? And again, choose an easy number. Well, you think about x, it could be positive, it could be 0, it could be negative. Let's try a positive number like 2. Okay, this would be 5 times 2 or 10. This would be 4 times 2, and that's 8. So it looks like on this one, 5x is greater than 4x. Let's try 0. That's 0, and that's 0, and that's equal. And finally, let's try a negative number. -10 and -8. So now remember, on a number line, -8 is to the right of -10. So that means that 5x is actually smaller than 4x. The inequality flipped around the other way. And then we're going to do it with division. The number 5 divided by x and 4 divided by x. If the number is, I'm going to choose 20 because it's the multiple of 5 and 4. If it's 20, 5 over x is 1 over 4 if you reduce it. And 4 over x is 1 over 5 if you reduce it. 0? Oh, undefined. Can't divide by 0. And negative number would be -1/4. So the first one, 1/4 is bigger than 1/5. So 5 over x is greater than 4 over x if you have a positive number. The middle one is undefined. I'm just going to write a u. And for the last one, it reverses. So on a 4 and 5, if you have a negative number, it actually switches the inequality the other direction, from greater than to less than. That's important. We'll put that in our takeaways. Number 6, very similar. I'm going to use, so now it says y is smaller than x. So as long as I choose a number for y, like let's try 2, and for x, let's try 7. Then for the numbers, oops, didn't mean to do that. I'm kind of stuck. I can't write. Let me just switch this real quick. There. Okay, for the numbers, and then I'm going to do x minus y and y minus x. If I choose a positive, well, I've chosen 2 and 7. So if I use 2 and 7 and I do x minus y, I get 7 minus 2. And for y minus x, I reverse it. I get 2 minus 7. That's 5 for y minus x and negative 5 for y minus x. And so the bigger one, well, let me do it on the same level. X minus y is greater than y minus x. Now, what if I switch them to negative numbers? Negative 2 for y. No, couldn't do it that way. I still have to make y smaller than x. So what if y was negative 7 and x was 2, negative 2? So now x minus y would be negative 2 minus negative 7. Well, those two negatives would make a positive, and that's positive 5. And then if I did, let's see, y minus x, that would be negative 7 minus negative 2. That would be negative 5. So still, y minus x, sorry, x minus y is greater than y minus x. Okay, and we'll probably have time to get to this one in class. Which is greater, 5 or x? So we would need to kind of figure out what x is on this problem. So if we treat this like an equation, and we add 3 to both sides, and we divide by 2. Okay, but this says greater than. So anything bigger than 5 would be okay for x. So x would be bigger. I know that seems a little complicated for now, and we're going to work on that in the future, how to solve inequalities. But here are the major takeaways we need to look at. One, well, actually, starting with problem, let's say 2 and 3. When we add a number or we subtract a number from both sides of an inequality, it doesn't change the truth of the inequality or the solution. But when you look at number 4 and 5, they both have a problem when you have a negative number. That inequality switches around the other way. So let's go to our takeaways. There's some other good problems here, but I want to do the takeaways first. Addition and subtraction, these are okay. They don't change the inequality. However, multiplication and division, I would say beware of multiplying or dividing by a negative. And again, we'll address that in a future lesson. This first one, number 2, this is the addition property. I'm going to abbreviate property. The next one is the subtraction property. Prop with a P, property. Number 4 is the multiplication property. And finally, division property. Okay, there's one other problem I want to show you real quick, and it's this number 10. When you see this, so you have 2 less thans, you have x in the middle, and numbers on the outside. What that means is we're talking about any number between 0 and 10. And for y over here, this is any number between 0 and 12. I just wanted you to be aware of that because we use that quite a lot. In mathematics, it means an interval. An interval is kind of like a line segment. It has a beginning, has an ending. It's kind of like a sandwich. The 2 numbers on the end are the bread. The X in the middle is the sandwich. Okay, that's the key understandings for today. We're going to sign out. I'll see you next time.